podcast, a while back, we talked about like first impressions of the controllers. But now we actually have the units in the office, and so we've been playing. We can't say what for a while. Those embargoes.
Something.
Guess what?
Those
Comes
embargoes
out
are yet to come. But just talking about extended time with the hardware, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Kyle, you've been playing the most,
Yes.
I believe.
I have not been sleeping very much.
Perfect. That's just what we want for this podcast. What stands out the most after spending a lot of time with the Nintendo Switch?
So one thing, when we went to the event and afterward, you guys were hesitant about the Joy-Cons. And I was like, you know what? I like the Joy-Cons. I see myself playing with both the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's how I'm going to play it. It's going to be great. And I have totally turned around on that. And using the singular Joy-Cons by themselves does cramp my hand.
That's interesting. Yeah. I was going the other direction after just spending, maybe like 10 minutes or so playing with the controllers again. I was thinking, Joy-Con separated, not as uncomfortable as I remember, but actually putting it on the dog head grip, I was like, this is actually, I can see this getting less comfortable over time.
I'm totally reversed. Like,
okay.
I've been using the dog head controller. It probably has a real name. I don't know what it is.
Dog head
is fine.
Heck yeah.
And I think that controller is good. It's comfortable. It's light. It's funny because once you put it in the dog head, though, you don't really get to take advantage of the HD rumble because it separates your hands from the actual Joy-Cons, and the rumble doesn't really extend to the rest of the unit.
Does it feel
disable rumble, or
it's still there? You just can't really feel it.
It's just like wearing a condom as a layer, so you can't quite feel the full rumble.
I think that's what they were going for.
Is that right?
They want it to be like a safety first kind of thing. Be smart about playing.
Yeah. Does it feel weird? Is it like it's trying to get through the layers of plastic? Does it feel awkward?
It's just like when you think your phone rings in your pocket
all the time.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, I got a text on it. It's kind of like that a lot. I think this thing rumbled.
That sounds uncomfortable. So someone wrote in.
It's not uncomfortable. It's just you're just missing. Like the rumble just doesn't. You don't really feel it unless you're actually holding the Joy-Cons.
In your pocket.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't read it in the last segment, but somebody actually wrote in, still confused about HD rumble. Like, does the Pro controller have it? Do the Joy-Cons have it? Does every variant of the controller have it? So this, when it's in dog head mode, not so much, but Pro controller does have HD rumble, right?
It has all the features of the Joy, including the sensor and the motion controls, which is why it's like $80, I think.
The rumble, I want to play with it more, but based on the limited experience I've had, the rumble feels different than the Joy-Cons do in the Pro controller.
Okay. It's more of like an SD rumble?
Still good. No, I mean, it's still good rumble. It's probably just a
480p rumble.
It's probably just a matter of the Joy-Cons are so small that when you have something so small rumble in your hand, it just feels different than when there's like a controller in both hands.
It's interesting. So many people are excited about this HD rumble. I'd say that just the community at large is overall ready to rumble.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Ice Cube fans.
Yeah. What do you think about the marketing ploy of HD rumble after having spent a lot of time with it, Kyle? Does it feel like something noticeable?
I mean, not in my experience, but I've also haven't played something that's sort of been designed around it.
Right.
I'm still optimistic about it. I think it could be cool. I think it could be interesting. Out of the gate, there's nothing really like taking advantage of it, which is like there's a lot of stuff with the controller that's not being taken advantage of, like the sensor, on the bottom isn't really being used for anything yet,
Right. It's still so early.
Yeah.
I mean, the screenshot functionality we've now been able to try out. We couldn't at that preview event. It's okay. It's quick. It's pretty seamless.
I like the sound it makes.
Yeah, you can jump in there then and kind of add text to the screenshots as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something interesting I noticed is you start to add text. It's like, okay, this is kind of like Snapchat, adding text to an image, no big deal. But you can't actually like rotate the text or anything with the touchscreen. The touchscreen seems pretty limited in that way because you're so used to just reflexively trying to like rotate and resize everything with the touchscreen. That's not an option. You have to just go through the menu and whatnot.
And we should clarify, all these impressions are big update. So that stuff could be added, but I don't, probably not though. It depends if that function gets popular. I think maybe they'll expand it.
Yeah, it could be
stamps and
They already said they're going to be adding video capture. I'm curious how that works because right now it's so quick. Just press the button.
Yeah.
You hear a quick snap and then it's saved. So if it has to give you the option of if you want video or photo, I wonder if that would just add a layer.
Probably. Or if you could just like hold the button and create video, or how would that work? There's a lot of questions about, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
I like that, and I use it a lot with PlayStation, but there's just all these additional steps. I feel like it takes longer to take a screenshot it takes the longest on Xbox One and then PS4, and it's nice to be able to, because the operating system is pretty quick too, so it's really easy to take a screenshot and go look at them. And I've actually already been using it as a way to keep track of things in the game I'm playing.
Oh, interesting.
Like if something is that I want to remember happens, I'll take a screenshot of it.
Yeah, so many game over screens.
That's right.
How long do you think it'll be fast though? Because like anything after a year or two of updates, like those things kind of start to crawl. Like the PS4 original UI was fine. It was fast.
Yeah, they've been slowly patching it in. But Suriel, you have a Switch pre-ordered. You're excited for it.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Pro controller so far?
I think it's okay. I think it works. I think as a decent, if you don't like the dog head, I think it'll work just fine. But parts of it feel stiff. I think the buttons are maybe a little bit too big, and I'm not a fan.
Too big?
A little. The
face buttons are
the face buttons are a little too big, and I think the D-pad's a little too stiff. I mean,
you're a big fighting game guy.
Yeah,
like you're very particular.
So the first thing I tried to do with any controller when I tested is do fireball and shuriken motions.
Sure.
And my big issues with it is that it doesn't seem to really register, or it doesn't give feedback for like diagonal inputs. I think for D-pad select, like if you have weapons tied to the D-pad, I think it'll be fine. But it seems like if you want to do any sort of practical motions on it, that it doesn't really provide that feedback. But otherwise, I think I like it. I think some people might be a little bit underwhelmed by the lack of analog triggers on it, but I don't mind that at all. Like if the system isn't going to use it, then no real point in having it. And I was a big fan of the PS2's L2 and R2 buttons, so I think it's better than the dog head. But I haven't had as much time with it as you guys have.
What about battery life? Have you guys run this thing through its paces yet?
I have not. I have been pretty consistently like keeping it charged just so I can keep playing. I haven't done the like timer yet.
Yeah.
I have seen the Switch, the screen battery get pretty low, but I have yet to see any alerts for the Joy-Cons. I've been playing like 2 days.
I think I got about 3 hours out of it last night.
Does that have a
I
special
didn't use a
icon
timer,
for
so I need to use a timer for that.
when the battery's low?
You know what?
It'll
I actually
alert
don't
you.
remember. Did you see it like an alert?
Yeah. When it gets really low.
Does Toad pop up and say your battery's low?
Toad knocks on your door and
And says, "Excuse me, sir."
Kicks you in the nuts and then plugs in your Switch for you.
Okay.
Reeves, what is your biggest impression of the Switch so far?
Biggest impression, I would say, I think they blew it with that controller.
The dog
like
head?
the dog head,
okay.
like
Really?
the Joy-Cons themselves
Yeah.
are too small. And I understand like their idea is like, let's have one controller that breaks into two and two people can play.
Sure.
Cool idea.
Trying to have a good time.
Percentage of times people are going to do that compared to percentage of times people are going to play that solo. What do you think that is? Like maybe 10%?
Well, you
At
never know,
man.
best?
I think we're underestimating just like the ability to like just toss your friend a controller to play Mario Kart for a round.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I don't know. That's a good question.
But either way you play it, it's kind of uncomfortable. So like the Joy-Cons by themselves are kind of uncomfortable. And even in the dog head mode, it feels like a huge compromise because the way the analog sticks are positioned doesn't feel right. The buttons feel too small.
It feels small in the dog head mode, but even in the I know we have these dumb nicknames. Even in the Vita mode where it's attached to the screen, do you think it gets uncomfortable there?
After a long time, yeah. Like I had the same problem with my Vita, honestly. Like if you play your Vita for more than an hour, like it's kind of uncomfortable. If I play my DS for more than an hour, it's kind of uncomfortable. Like that's how handhelds are. So maybe that's fine because that's how handhelds are. But when you're playing a console at home, like with a controller, you want something that's nice. So you almost have to buy the Pro controller to play this like a normal console.
If I'm reading this room correctly, it feels like playing the Nintendo Switch is like sleeping with a pea under your mattress. Is this the correct read on the situation?
Yeah, with a condom on.
Yeah.
I like the dog head. I think the dog head is a perfectly functional controller for me. I don't know if we want to jump into more features about it, but the kickstand is really flimsy.
Yep. Did you have the same problem I did, Kyle?
Maybe.
So the second time I tried to pop this kickstand up, I actually snapped this thing off.
Oh, really?
I was like, whoa, and then I looked around the room cautiously and then tried to like jam it back in there. And I was able to snap it back in. I think this is actually the one I snapped off. So, but it still works.
Yeah.
So I didn't technically break it.
I feel like that's also...
So you're not liable legally?
So yeah, I'm fine.
Kickstand aside, I feel like I'm impressed by... I guess I didn't really get a good intake or good perception of just how... I think it's relatively rugged. It seems like a solid piece of hardware.
Yeah.
Like the metal tracks that you're sliding into. It's like a bizarre Lionel train or something. It's a weird
comparison.
It's a weird feel for Nintendo, isn't it? Just to have like those steel metal tracks.
Yeah.
I think the tablet piece itself, I agree, feels sturdy. I like the screen actually a lot. I think the screen looks really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, especially because since it's smaller than what you're seeing on your TV, it's compressing images, so everything looks really sharp. Sometimes even better on the screen.
Does it fit in pockets pretty well?
I fit it in my jeans pocket. Yeah, I haven't tried it in like a girl's pants because I don't normally wear my girl's pants.
Have you tried inserting it under your skin at all yet?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Have you put it up your nose?
But if you try to put it in your front pocket, you will not be able to sit down.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a portable in the way that like an iPad mini, let's say, is portable.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So let's get to the meat and potatoes here. UI. We've seen teases of it here and there, accidentally popping up in a Treehouse live stream. This was what I'm really interested in. I just want to see how that UI looks. I love seeing the next generation of Nintendo design. What do you guys think of that layout so far? And again, this is probably the biggest qualifier for there's going to be a day one update. But out of the box, what do you guys think of the Switch UI?
I like it in its simplicity.
Yeah.
It's very clean. It's very snappy. It just puts the games up front, like front and center. There's just icons on the bottom row that you can access. Unlike the Wii U, you don't have to shut down your game to do internet settings.
Finally.
So
that is nice, actually. Yeah. Which you kind of think like, oh, that's new for Nintendo. And it's been around forever with like PlayStation, Xbox, I think. But it is nice that they finally.
Do you guys think it works on that level? Do you think? Because I feel like with Nintendo, it always seems like their interfaces are sort of alien in the same way that a lot of their tech is, in that it doesn't feel similar to anything else that people are doing. So do you think this is part of their approach of we want to make it more in line with other people's standards instead of blazing our own trail?
I think it does feel more approachable. It almost feels like a Samsung tablet or something. It has. I'm curious to see what it looks like once we really start packing this thing with software, because Kyle, you say like, oh, games are up front, it's great, but we have one game, so like I wonder when you have 30 downloadable games and you upgrade that hard drive, what that actually is going to look like trying to navigate that
make
space.
the icon smaller,
because it's as clean as possible right now, and I agree. I think it looks nice right now.
Right. Well, I mean, what do you think would clutter it up?
Oh, just having to like, is it like sorted by whatever you launched most recently? Can you sort it alphabetically? How far are you going to have to pop over to the right just to find what you want?
Because the image for the game takes up pretty much the whole screen.
It's big.
So if you have a lot, like, do you have to swipe for a while to get what you want? Or is it like the 3DS where you can pick the size of the icon?
Yeah.
Can you sort of sort between, I want to have this game's save data, like if I've downloaded, I want this game's save data to stick with me even after I delete the game, so I can make room for more games. Or is it?
I don't. We know that's one. I don't think we know.
I don't think we've tested that out.
You should just delete the game you're playing.
I'll do that.
I should say that me and Suriel put up a video early this morning. Where we kind of walk through the UI of the system, so you can go on GameInformer.com and check that out.
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me
short
of
5-minute video.
Of like Amazon interface, of like an Amazon tablet, more specifically.
Okay,
than anything else.
Yeah. I could
the text especially
see that.
seemed like it seemed like a modern machine in that sense.
You know, what was the weirdest detail of going through the system settings? Having a console system settings that has airplane mode. It's like, what a weird age for consoles.
That is weird.
You've never put your PlayStation 4 in airplane mode?
All of the time.
Just want to turn off all the internet.
Screen brightness too is another weird thing. And then it was interesting. You scroll down in the settings too, and it's not up front and center at all. But like, there's a Me menu under settings. And you're like, oh,
surprisingly buried.
Mies.
Yeah, it's like next to Amiibo in there, but it is far back there. It's there's also a section for themes, which I think eventually could get exciting in a 3DS kind of way. But right now it's white or black, dingus. Choose it.
You can choose a player icon.
You are not required to make a Mii when you start up the console for the first time.
You have to choose an image, and they have a bunch of like cool Nintendo.
What a weird holdover.
And I had to go into like more images to find the Samus one that I wanted.
Yeah,
like, buried under all these Animal Crossing.
Samus, page 48.
Yeah.
She's in there.
Under unused.
Never touching again section. So you talk about the inclusion of being able to make a Mii, and it looks like, man, if there are some differences for the options with eyebrows and stuff, they're pretty deep cuts. Nothing was jarring. It really looks like the classic old Nintendo Wii Mii Maker, but it was so weird to go in there, no background music. And again, this is something that could very easily change with the day one patch and update to this entire UI. But Nintendo, for the last couple generations especially, I feel like the UI music is wildly underrated. Like the Wii's eShop music, everybody votes. Every piece of UI music, I think, has been fantastic.
They have one of the best video game composers in the industry in there.
Yes.
He's doing like amazing user interface.
Maybe
the
that's
Wii U
why.
soundtrack. It's so weird to say the Wii U soundtrack, but I really think it's great. So this was the biggest shock as I went through everything there. eShop isn't live yet, right?
No.
Right.
Went through everything in there. No music. What do you guys think of that choice?
You think it's because they're, they've built themselves up now and they're trying to see the pressure. Oh, we have to nail this. This has to be our defining work of menu music. And
maybe it'll
just,
be tied to themes
yeah.
eventually. If you have like the Mario skin, then it'll just play the Mario theme or something.
It is a weird thing. I'm trying to think. The Xbox doesn't really have music, right?
Yeah,
But the
Xbox
PlayStation
does.
kind of has a
Yeah.
little
You can mute it.
hum.
You can also modify it too.
Yeah.
So having something like that, I feel, is normal. But it's weird that it's very sterile and quiet. Except for like one thing I do like is you press on like the news tab
yeah.
and go in there. I love those sound effects that they do. You go in and look at your screenshot gallery. Really good sound
System
effects.
settings.
It's a very Nintendo touch too, because every different menu that you go in has custom little sound
A
effect
different
for
sound
that.
effect. Just
So-
like a little blip, like whoop, whoop.
And even if we, discredit the lack of music, I think those sound design details are really interesting. In fact,
They're
we
really
actually,
good sound effects to the point where I press the button. I'm like, that's a cool sound.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ben Reeves,
Yeah.
what if they went a little something like this?
Uh-huh.
So that's what the Switch sounds like, everybody.
It's like someone's playing electro
Yeah, I
plane.
think
It's
so,
like-
right?
Actually, it does exactly like
Yeah.
electric
Scratching the inside of your brain.
Also, the sound when you go into the settings, which is
Yep.
it sounds exactly like a farm dying in the Age of Empires series, but that is something neither here nor there.
There's
They
also
stole it.
another
Once.
weird UI. I don't know if it's weird, but it's just interesting. The way you unlock it, there's no you don't touch the screen or swipe or anything. You just have to hit the same button 3 times.
Mhm.
So
What?
any button you want. You
On the
can
controller?
just
Yeah.
it's like just to acknowledge that you are a person actively trying to get into it. You just hit the same button 3 times.
You also have to look in a mirror
Mhm.
and repeat the name Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's
actually-
been
well,
around
actually,
3 times.
You have
Yeah.
to
That's
say
a-
it's
that's
a
a
me
button.
Mario. Is what you have to say. So.
So speaking of, I think you used the word sterile in there, Reeves. It's interesting. Some personality that's there in the UI, which is what we're here for, everybody, is in there's a news section.
Mhm.
And in that, they have a bunch of different art. Some of it's kind of like Kotabe style art. And it's just trying to lay out the functionality of the system now. I'm curious what all they put in there eventually. But one bizarre detail is everything in the news section as of now, which is just helpful tips. It says at the bottom, they try and make it's very, I don't know, it has a lot of personality. In the writing, it feels very treehousey. And then it says that every note is from someone named Amelia.
Oh, man.
And so it's weird to kind of have
Oh,
this more
interesting.
sterile Nintendo design overall, but then in the news updates,
Very
here's
personal.
your friendly neighborhood Nintendo fan, Amelia, who's writing to you about battery life. It's really strange.
Is it Amelia spelled with 2 I's? Like
No,
Amiibo?
nothing
Amelia.
funky. Just old, straight up Amelia. And now the question is, who is this mysterious
Amelia's going to be
Amelia?
the Amazon Echo replacement that they're going to make.
Oh.
Yeah.
Unclear if it is Miss Bedelia herself.
Yeah.
Amelia Bedelia?
Wow.
Do you guys have any other takeaways after spending so much time with the Switch?
I have been using it for its exact purpose, which is putting it on a TV screen, and then
its exact purpose.
we haven't really talked about it at all, though. The act of taking it out of the dock and putting it back in, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like I have been playing in my living room, taking it out, playing in bed for a while,
Uh-huh.
playing in the car, and
In the
While
car.
driving?
while driving.
Okay.
It's I'm really good like
You can do
that.
both. You can hold them like this. And
I mean,
just
once
try.
you lose enough sleep, you can handle anything.
You can do
sure.
anything.
Right.
Kyle modded his car so that
that's
he could
right.
play.
But I all that works really well. I really like having the sort of portable aspect of it, and it's a cool thing.
Sure.
It seems to slide into the dock. I have been having an easier time with it now than we did at the event. That was something we mentioned.
Have you played it
briefly.
in bed?
Yeah.
Has it fallen on your face?
No, because I was laying on my stomach.
You should test.
I'll
that.
do that test.
We
yeah.
should do the thorough test. What
Yeah.
about, you said you're going to be fidgeting with it a lot, you thought, when you're going to be playing it, like sliding the Joy-Cons on and off. Has that been a thing for you?
No, actually, it
Oh,
has
good.
not, which I'm surprised about.
Are you saying you have something else to fiddle around with in bed?
The
Yeah,
Pro
my-
controller,
my
obviously.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But no, I have not been. It's actually it's a little sticky to get it out of there. I think
Huh?
on purpose.
Are we still talking about the same thing?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Now
getting
this is comedy.
Joy-Cons out of the thing. It's not an easy slide in and out. Is what
Sure.
I'm saying. I wonder if those rails will get
Sure.
better.
You need something to
okay.
like.
All right.
All right,
Loosen it up.
everybody. All right.
Just like
Enough about the dog
Like a
face.
bad Switch controller. We
And
are
then-
off the
And
rails.
then I put the condom on, and then the
Anyways.
vibration disappeared.
Kyle, I have a question. Do you think that the fact that you're just using it like mobile some of the time and like on the TV some of the time is just a fact that like it's kind of novel? Do you think that'll wear off eventually and you'll just like eventually play on your TV the whole time?
I am a human person who will play PlayStation 4 in his living room, and then I will take the console up to the bedroom and play it on my bedroom TV. So I think I will consistently use it that way.
So
'Cause
years down the road, you're still going to be moving around with the Switch.
Yeah, I think so. Because I do it with my PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I move it around the house.
What about your Wii U trajectory? How often did you play on that Wii U screen?
Pretty often.
Really?
Because I have a kid, so she would be watching TV. Like I played all of like Donkey Kong Country, on the tablet.
Yeah.
So, but that's
I'll
also
be
my
damned.
specific experience. Like you guys probably play more PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where I'm playing more DS and Vita and stuff like
Right.
that.
No, I can back you. I played most of Shovel Knight on the Wii U.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, this is exciting. New console, everybody.
Yeah.
We are still in the very early days. Obviously, when it comes out March 3rd, we get that update. We'll have a much better idea. Fingers crossed for eShop Music. Fingers crossed. It's got to be good. It's got to be good.
It's gonna be their masterwork.
What if it's just Koji Kondo like humming, just like
Katamari?
style?
Done. Done.
It's gonna be a 6-movement opera. It's just gonna be the longest 4 hours of menu
It's
music.
like planets.
They're gonna
Yeah.
release it for like $30 as like a vinyl.
Oh,
Sign me
I
up.
can only
Yeah.
hope.
All right, but Kyle, you can talk about that big review coming up real soon. So definitely stay
Yeah.
tuned to the podcast. We'll talk all about it. As for now, completely disconnected. Check out Game Informer Zelda Hub for a ton of Switch features and interviews with Miyamoto. Everything good from Nintendo.
I think we're still posting stuff.
Heck yeah, we are, man.
Yeah,
Miyamoto and Enuma
that's right.
Don't forget about them.
together.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can click right here if you want to subscribe and listen to the audio version of the full show. Full episodes air every Thursday, and they feature Game Informer editors sitting around talking about the biggest reviews, previews. We talk about exclusive impressions of Game Informer's cover stories. We have long-form developer interviews, everything that's great in gaming. So every Thursday, be sure to check it out.